Standing tall in Warsaw, Polish Prime Minister Donald Tusk and French President Emmanuel Macron sought to project unity over Europe's vision for Ukraine's future. However, Tusk made it crystal clear that decisions regarding Poland's military actions would remain firmly under Polish control. As talks heat up across European capitals about deploying troops to Ukraine following a potential ceasefire, Tusk quashed rumors during a Thursday briefing, emphasizing that decisions on the deployment of Polish troops will not be swayed by European leaders, but will instead remain under Poland's top brass.
Dear friend, I take this opportunity to cut through the speculation on the potential presence of troops of one country or another in Ukraine once a truce, armistice, or peace is reached. The President is aware of this. We discussed it. Decisions on Polish operations will be made in Warsaw and only in Warsaw.
While underscoring Poland's autonomy, Tusk struck a collaborative tone, pledging to work closely with France and other European allies to ensure the security of both Europe and Ukraine if peace talks succeed.
For now, we are not planning such actions. We will not only work with France, but with France on solutions that will, first and foremost, secure Europe, as well as Ukraine, from a resumption of the conflict, if an agreement can be reached on a truce and possibly peace. To put it bluntly, and I also told the President this, and I would like to, so that all of Europe finally understands this as well. Poland bears the greatest burden of all European countries in connection with the war in Ukraine.
Macron, echoing Tusk's sentiment, reiterated his respect for Poland's sovereignty while emphasizing the importance of unity in addressing the conflict. The French president was resolute in his stance that peace in Ukraine must remain firmly in Ukrainian hands.
And deep down we share, as we have just seen, the same desire to say no peace in Ukraine without Ukrainians. What the Prime Minister has just said is very important. I share the same philosophy. France does not want to be committed by anyone else, and I think it's right that Poland should only be involved by anyone else. And so it is, as a sovereign state, aware of the interests also at stake in Ukraine and the future of our continent.
Macron also turned attention to recent trilateral talks involving Ukraine's President Volodymyr Zelensky and U.S. President-elect Donald Trump. The French leader highlighted America's potential role in shaping the conflict's resolution and expressed gratitude for existing transatlantic cooperation.
The United States of America will play a role in the coming weeks, in the coming months. And I want to thank the Biden administration for its support from day one and for working so closely with Europeans. But the Trump administration has indicated its willingness to try and influence the course of this conflict. And so, we have to work very closely with the Americans and, of course, Ukraine.
Meanwhile, President-elect Donald Trump was named Time magazine's Person of the Year in New York on Thursday, just hours after criticizing Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky for escalating the conflict by targeting Russian territory. In an interview with the publication, Trump called Zelensky's decision to launch missiles into Russia a serious escalation and a stupid decision. He also criticized the Biden administration for supplying weapons and approving their use. Trump emphasized the growing threat of powerful weaponry, expressing concern about the devastating consequences of their use.
I could just say that the economy, I believe, is going to be very strong. We do have to solve some problems. We have wars going on that we didn't have. We have a lot of things happening that we didn't have that would have never happened. They would have never happened, but now they have happened, and I want to get them solved.
The UK and Germany's contrasting positions on Europe's role in the Ukraine war highlight a growing divide within the continent. UK Prime Minister Keir Starmer has firmly backed Ukraine, stressing that supporting the country is not only vital for Ukraine's freedom, but also for Europe's own security.
The future of freedom in Europe is being decided today. We face a near and present danger, with Russia as an erratic, increasingly desperate aggressor on our continent, marshalling all its resources, along with North Korean troops and Iranian missiles, aiming to kill and to conquer. So there's no question. It's right that we support Ukraine. But we must be clear that it's also deeply in our own self-interest to do so.
Meanwhile, Germany, while hinting at a potential future peacekeeping role, remains more cautious. Foreign Minister Annalena Baerbock emphasized that any peace must be just and cannot freeze the conflict, but underscored that Ukraine will ultimately decide the course of negotiations. This split reflects Europe's ongoing struggle to define a unified stance on the crisis.
It must be a just peace. It must not be a freezing of a conflict that only leads to armament against Ukraine and other European countries. That is why it is so essential that we bring the different elements together. But again, to underline, Ukraine decides about this bringing together of elements because it is its sovereign country.
While Western leaders rally behind Ukraine, Hungary, Slovakia, and Serbia, voice fierce opposition, slamming Zelensky and the West for fueling the war. The divide within Europe is stark. Countries split not just on support for Ukraine, but on whether to send European troops into a war claiming lives every day.